What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome inside another live edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast, brought to you by Scott Vicknair Injury Lawyers. If you're injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, hurt offshore, Scott Vicknair handles it all. You give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. The Saints preseason opener against the Chargers still going on right now, about 4.5 minutes. Going to give you guys time to jump right in. We'll talk about the quarterback battle that's going on. We'll talk about who played well, who didn't do enough for their roster spot. And of course, as always, guys, we're going to get to anything you guys have. So if you're coming through at any time now, later, put a comment in. Also like the video. It helps out us here at Boo Crew Media. And we'll get your voice heard here in just a couple minutes. So Saints trailing 20-10 with about 4 minutes left. Just saw the last of Tyler Shough, unfortunately. I would have loved to see him kind of finish this game out. Saints go to Jake Haener, understandably so. They've been trying out all three quarterbacks, but this is about the time where it's check down Charlie time for the New Orleans Saints. So let's get into everything, and I'll also get into who's trending up, which we've been doing all of training camp, and we'll continue to do it here. So make sure you guys come in, and like I said, like the video, and make sure you give your thoughts so I can pull them up on the screen. So let's start off with the quarterbacks here. I think that's the most important thing for the New Orleans Saints, without a shadow of a doubt. Spencer Rattler got the start. I thought the first quarter for him was okay. Second quarter, I thought was an utter disaster and more of the same, right? Holding on to the ball too long, not feeling pressure, running into sacks, just not what you want to see. End of the second quarter, they decided to put Tyler Shough in for the 2-minute drill, and it went pretty well. Ended up getting a field goal out of it. He went 5 of 9 on the drive. I thought that would build up some confidence. Second half begins. Tyler Shough throws a pick six on a type of ball to the outside where the second he let go of that ball, kind of thought, oh no, I didn't know if it was going to be a pick six, but you never think anything good's going to happen when you're throwing across the field like that. It's just like one of the Cardinals' sins of football. Throws the pick six. Obviously, none of us Saints fans are happy about it. Everyone's trolling on Twitter, talking about whether or not they made a mistake, and it's way too early to figure out if this guy was a mistake in terms of drafting him. But he responds with an absolute bomb of a touchdown pass. Ends up being a 54-yarder to Mason Tipton to get the Saints back in the game and also feel pretty good. Saints just had a turnover, by the way. So utter disaster for that Jake Haener series right there. So Tyler Shough responds pretty well. And I'm not going to say this was the perfect half. I mean, the perfect showcase for Tyler Shough. But what I would say today is I saw enough from Tyler Shough where, first off, I want to see him starting the second week of the preseason. And if he plays well in the second week of the preseason, okay, you got to start him week one. And it's not a knock on Rattler. It's not a knock on Haener. We've seen them play. The Saints spent a top 40 pick on this guy, and I thought he showed enough today where you see some traits. Did he hold on to the ball too long? He did. Do I feel like there were times where I'd like to see him let it rip a little bit more? Yes, but the arm talent is there. The deep shot was there. And the touchdown pass, for me, the reason I was so excited about it was the fact that it's so easy as a rookie quarterback to throw a pick six and you feel like the sky's falling. You feel like, oh man, this is just rough. The walls are caving in. And to go out there immediately throwing a touchdown pass, I think it kind of shows what you're made of. It shows the arm talent. Love the call from Kellen Moore. You had so many short passes. You finally give a double move to Mason Tipton, and Mason Tipton goes and makes you pay, which I thought that was a great play call, great throw from Shough, and just really good return and response from him. So I was excited about that, and I thought Shough responded well. Was it a great preseason opener? It was okay. Some good, some bad, obviously, with touchdowns for both teams that Shough ended up throwing. But I'm at the point where I know what Jake Haener is, and he's not good. He's not good in the preseason. He's not good in the regular season. He's good at practice. Okay. Rattler, 6 starts last year. Saints lost all of those 6 starts. He had some good halves, some rough halves. Didn't see a lot today. Again, Shough wasn't perfect, but I think you start Shough and you figure out what you got in him, because the odds are you're probably going to be picking in the top 5 next year anyway. So you might as well figure out if this guy's any good and figure out if you need a quarterback. So that's where I'm at with Tyler Shough. And that's kind of where I'm at with this whole quarterback situation for New Orleans. It clearly isn't going to be Jake Haener. It clearly isn't going to be, in my opinion, Rattler in terms of the guy. I think we would have seen far more from over the last year and a half already. And for Shough, you finished the game 15 of 22, 165, a touchdown and a pick. To me, that's not a terrible day at the office, especially when you ended up having, that brutal interception. You still have a pretty good game overall. And I see you guys saying right on cue with Haener. Yeah, look, I've seen Haener, man. The reports are all that he practices well. he's never good in the actual games that matter. So that's kind of where I'm at. So before I get into any of your comments, guys, because we definitely have a lot, let me get into a couple of other thoughts, and then I want to give my trending up guys that I really think played well, and I'll also give guys that didn't. So I'll start with the negative, and then we'll get to the good. Negative. Thought Ruiz had a really rough first quarter. I thought Dylan Radins was god-awful. I think, granted, he had one nice play in the second half. I still don't think Isaiah Foskey's done enough for his case. So there's some negatives there for the Saints. But I honestly, I know you're going to look at the score and be like, all right, they've given up 20 to the Chargers. There's a lot of guys that I thought played well on defense. So we'll get into trending up and talk about those guys, because I think there's a lot of players for me that I was really impressed with. So here are the four guys that I was really impressed with. The first one that I didn't have on my radar coming into today, I thought Isaiah Stallbird, was quite excellent for the Saints. And again, like I said, didn't have him on my radar. This is a second-year guy, former South Dakota State guy, undrafted. Did not expect him to play as well as he did, but he was flying all over the field today. So I was really impressed by him. Tackles for loss, getting pressure in Trey Lance's face the entire time. Really, really like what I saw from Isaiah Stallbird. I also really liked what I saw from Fadil Diggs. He's probably the player to me that I'm most excited about for two reasons. One, he's a 7th-round pick, and he played really well, got a sack, got a lot of pressure. To have a project type of prospect like that really show out immediately, to me, is impressive. And Fadil Diggs has had such an interesting career, and I talked about it when he got drafted. If you looked at his career, he played at A&M the whole time. When he gets to Syracuse, there's that jump in production. And I said, is that jump in production just an anomaly, or is he actually a player who you're drafting today because you feel like he's just continuously on the rise? And one preseason game doesn't mean that, but I thought Fadil Diggs was excellent. So shout out to Fadil Diggs. We gave credit to Isaiah Stallbird for what he did. I also thought Mason Tipton today on the offensive side of the ball, 54-yard touchdown. It's the only catch he had, but man, when it is a 54-yard touchdown, when it is off a double move where he looked great, and he's had a really good training camp, to go out there and have the only touchdown that the Saints had today, I think that's definitely a win in Mason Tipton's book. So shout out to him for sure. I thought that was a big one. And then the fourth one I'll give credit for, and the reason I'll give credit for is I think it's a sign of respect more than anything. And he didn't have any game-breaking plays today, but he also wasn't bad at all. Danny Stutzman. Danny Stutzman had the communication piece for the defense today. So he was calling the shots defensively. He's getting everyone in order. And I think when a rookie linebacker who, is a mid-round guy, when a rookie linebacker is the one that has that responsibility already, I think that's the coaching staff kind of telling you how much respect they have for him and, what they think this guy could end up being. And again, he was a 4-year dude at Oklahoma, played all the time, was a captain. I'm not surprised by this, but for your first preseason opener to be the guy that's really getting everyone aligned and doing it well, huge plus. So overall, guys, like I said, for trending up, I thought Mason Tipton deserves a lot of credit. It was one catch, but it's a 54-yard touchdown. We can't overlook that on a filthy route. Fadil Diggs was excellent. Isaiah Stallbird was, a guy that maybe people didn't have on their radar coming into today. And then after he played, how can you not look at it? I thought the way he played, fantastic. And then I want to give credit to Danny Stutzman. And he wasn't the only one, guys. Like, I think, if you look around, second half, I thought Jonas Sanker played a little bit better. I think there's other guys to shout out. Obviously, we mentioned Shough before. I'm not going to use him in trending up because I think trending up I'd rather use for other players. But even Shough, like, he was getting better, I thought, as the game went on. So I think there were some positives from the rookies. Everywhere else is where there's concerns, right? I don't see depth from this tight end room. I don't see depth from the wide receiver room. I was hoping the O-line would have more depth, but I really didn't see that a ton. On the flip side, though, the Saints also gave up a lot of sacks because Shough and Rattler both held onto the ball pretty long. So it works both ways. But, the way I look at this Saints team right now, I think that, like I said, the younger dudes played well. I thought that there were some guys that, didn't get to see enough from Kendra Miller. As a Kendra Miller fan, I would have loved to see that. I don't think we saw anything from this running back group. Cam Akers, 4 carries for 9 yards. That's not going to cut it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 4 carries for 6 yards. Not going to cut it. He did have one really good blitz pickup, though, and I do think the coaches are going to see that in the meetings, and that will matter, but not enough from the run game there. Velus Jones, he had 4 catches, I believe it was, for 16 yards. Not enough there. Kevin Austin Jr. had a couple of plays. I would say he probably got targeted the most, and he was consistent. But he also missed the big one, was just out of reach. Dante Pettis didn't do enough. So the depth guys, And that's why I say I got to give credit to Mason Tipton, and I have to show some respect there, is like when you go out there and you come down with a 54-yard touchdown catch, like no one else is competing with that stat-wise. No one else is competing with that impact-wise in that room. And for a room that doesn't have a lot of depth, where Bub Memes got injured today and was carted off, look, I think that matters. So that's kind of where I'm at, guys. I'd imagine a lot of people are in agreement, but obviously, like I've always said, put your thoughts in the comment section because I'm going to get to them right this moment. And we'll continue to go back and forth with what it is. But, you know, like I said, I think the rookie class, that's what excited me today. If I were to give one positive, is that you had multiple guys from this rookie class make plays today. And I thought that was great to see. So shout out to them and some second-year guys. Like I said, Stallbird, Tipton, not your big-name second-year guys, but they definitely stepped up. So let me get into some thoughts that you guys have. I know there's still a minute and 50. It looks like the Chargers are about to get in the end zone, and they just did. So this one's about to be bigger route. But Haener will come out there. We'll see if he throws another interception. Fred says, best thing about this game ending is not having to listen to these announcers anymore. I know they're LA Chargers guys, but good grief, what a bunch of homers. Yeah, I think that's a negative to preseason coverage on a nationally televised game like this one, is even though it's nationally televised, you're getting the Chargers home announcing team. So not great. Not great. It's just rough for me. Just rough to listen for all of us. And I understand that frustration. And I totally agree with you. Let's keep it rolling here. We got Jordan saying, what a bomb from Shough. Does this seal him as QB1? I don't think it seals him, but it's a hell of a play for starters. It's a hell of a response from the rookie. And I also think that, you know, for him, it's that arm talent that we talked about in the draft, right? I know a lot of people are like, oh, who cares about arm talent? Like if you're not doing, you know, if you're not producing and he's always hurt, what's the big deal? But like, it's effortless with him. It's really effortless, but again, it doesn't seal the deal. It doesn't seal anything, but it's a great throw from him. Fred says, feel like this offense needs to find a role for Jones. His speed is undeniable. I did actually think that, right? Like there were some throws to the sideline where he only gained like 2-3 yards, but it should have been a loss of 3 or 4. And he's got that quick burst to get around the first defender. And look, I've seen a lot of projections where he's projected to make the roster. So maybe there will be a role for him. We'll see, but I definitely see that speed. Walltown Best 88 says, good news is Dig is getting Foskey out of here. Yeah. I think that's to me, that's a 2-for-1. You are getting a 7th rounder who, like I said, didn't have a ton of production at Texas A&M, goes to Syracuse, his first year and only year at Syracuse, 7.5 sacks. First preseason game, he gets a sack. So I thought he was really good today. And, you know, that's the first part. Component A is that he looks to have talent. And component B is you get Foskey the hell out of here because Foskey just doesn't produce. He had one nice play today. And funny enough, Diggs actually ended up cleaning up the play. You know, like Foskey set the edge. It was a really good job. And Diggs came in and did the rest. But other than that, like it's easy to attack him in the run game. He's not exactly making plays as a pass rusher. And by the way, you guys mentioned Velus Jones. Velus Jones just now, really nice return. So there's the speed for him. And special teams might be the way for him to make the roster. Jay Rambo says Mason Tipton needs to be starting these preseason games like with Rattler and Shough. I think that's fair. Really good training camp. And obviously today, again, one play, but it's a 54-yard touchdown off a great double move. Got to give him credit there. Rather than just start Shough, it's clear Rattler isn't a building block. So let's see why you took Shough at 40 and prepare for next year. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. You look, Rattler had 6 starts last year. That's not a ton, but he had 6 starts. And he wasn't drafted by the coaching staff that just came in with Kellen Moore and those guys. I know the front office is the same, but Kellen Moore and those guys weren't in the building when the pick was made. He's not their guy. And look, if Rattler played well today, sure, let's continue this discussion. But if we're talking about which quarterback played the best today, Shough played the best. Whether or not you think he was good, to me, that part's all subjective. Some people might come away thinking, oh, I thought Shough was really good. Some might thought I was mediocre. Some might thought, no, subpar. He was the best of the 3 today. He's also the one that was drafted by Kellen Moore and a top 40 pick. So to me, I think you play him and you just live with it. You live with whatever the results are. If Shough gets a start and he's decent, we get a top 5 pick, I'm still drafting a quarterback. Look, here's where I'm at with that, which I do like the comment. I think it's a very fascinating hypothetical, like what happens in that situation. If Shough is their quarterback and he's okay, they're probably not picking maybe they're not picking top 5. But to me, if Shough's a good rookie quarterback, then you're not picking top 5. If they're picking top 5, he's going to be a bad rookie quarterback. That's the way I'm looking at it. And if it does end up where he is good and they're still picking top 5, I think it matters how he looks. If he looks like he's like, a Sam Howell type rookie, you can move on from those guys. If he looks like he's Josh Rosen, you move on from them easily. If he looks like Bo Nix, I don't know. I think maybe you keep on to him. So it's all relative to how he actually plays. So that's why I love the comments, by the way. It's so hard to say because we don't know how he's going to look and we don't know where, what the production is going to look like, where the Saints are in the standings and where it is relative to it. There isn't a quarterback you feel is worth drafting first round. Don't even force it. Take the best player. We have too many holes. We can sign a cheap bridge. We're not in rebuild. We're not in rebuild mode. I think they are in a rebuild. So, I mean, I guess we'll see. I do agree with the sentiment that they definitely need to get better everywhere. Xavier says Rattler doesn't have the pocket awareness to be a starter. Shough played balanced, ups and downs, but he had a better game, interception and all. Haener should be dropped for literally anyone else. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. To me, the Haener thing is so hilarious because it's year after year where it's like, well, he looked good in practice. I don't care what he did in practice at this point. He never looks good in the preseason. And all right, he had one start last year, so it's tough. But he was god-awful in that one start. So, I'm out on him. As for Rattler, yeah, it was more of the same. More of the same. Did Stutz get any playtime today? Yeah, Stutz was with the starters. Well, the starters who went out there. So this was the starting lineup, guys. I'll give you offense and defense for anyone in the comments that's wondering. Defensively, it was Brian Brzee, Nathan Shepard, and Colin Saunders. Defensive ends were Chris Rump and Isaiah Foskey. Linebackers were Danny Stutzman and DeMarco Jackson. Kool-Aid McKinstry and Isaac Yedem were the corners. And then Julian Blackman and Jordan Howden were the safeties. For the offense, Rattler, taking snaps underneath Will Clapp, was also, we had Kelvin Banks, Fuaga as your tackles, Penning and Ruiz as the guards, Kendra Miller was the running back, Brandon Cooks and Cedric Wilson were your wide receivers, and then Jawan Johnson and Jack Stoll were your tight ends. So those were the starters. Chris, how you doing? Good to see you again, man. Good to see you, HFC 735. What's going on, man? What are your positives and negatives about the game? Kind of gave them before, like I said, trending up. I gave it to Tipton, Fadil Diggs, Isaiah Stallbird, and Danny Stutzman. Negatives, I thought the wide receiver depth was pretty mediocre. I thought, obviously, quarterback mistakes everywhere. We got the pick 6 from Shough. You got Rattler with the fumble. Haener had a pick of his own. So all 3 quarterbacks have had a turnover in this game, which isn't great. I think the depth at wide receiver is lackluster. Special teams was good. I'll give them that. I thought special teams made some plays, The quarterbacks, where do we start? Rattler looks like a check down king. No deep ball. Shake my head. Shough's weakness is short range pass. Needs improvement. His deep ball is good. Haener is a practice squad legend. Definitely. I kind of agree with all of them right there. Will Rashid Shaheed be ready by week 1? I believe so. I haven't seen anything that would indicate not. So, guess we'll see. Based on position, it's hard to notice all the time, but I feel Riley was great today. He wasn't tested at all. I do think that's a huge positive. I was actually going to mention that. I'm glad you did. I think, when you're a rookie corner, to not be brought up in the broadcast multiple times is a great sign. Absolute great sign. You're doing your job if they're not talking about you in the broadcast. So, kudos to Quincy Riley. I thought that was a nice showing from him. I think he's fine anyway. He's safe. Truthfully, he's competing for a starting job. That's how good he's been in training camp. I think the Saints love him. I thought Isaac Yedem was really good today, though, in that first quarter. So you'll have some competition there. But I think you're starting to see it take shape, right? I think the 4 corners who the Saints are going to be using, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alante Taylor, obviously are the no-brainers. But I think Isaac Yedem and Quincy Riley are kind of like battling it out to be the next man up. But I think both of them are clearly going to play this year. I mean, cornerbacks, you can't have enough of them in this league. But I definitely think that, for Quincy Riley, not being mentioned is a good thing when you're playing corner. He wasn't thrown out a lot, and he's made a lot of plays in training camp. Xavier says defense looks promising, but O-line, wide receiver, and tight end is so thin that everyone would need to stay healthy. Yep, and you got a lot of injury-prone guys up there, Penning's dealt with injuries in his career. McCoy last year was injured. Olave's obviously dealt with injuries. Shaheed has dealt with injuries. So a lot of concerns there. X says Shough, C+, Rattler, D, Haener, F. Hard to argue against that, man, with the way they played. Welltown Best 88 says Saints need to call Cooper. We're talking about Amari Cooper. I think that's I don't know if he's going to save him though at this point. Cash 8740 says Shough B-, I think you're going for, right? Yeah, B-, Rattler C-, Jake F. Jake, Dylan Radins, and Foskey are my predictions to not make the roster. It's possible. They might just keep Jake anyway. They're going to keep 3 of them. They might just keep him. I don't know. I don't think he's any good. Dylan Radins was terrible today. Foskey, I would not keep. I hope Diggs pushes him off the roster, and I kind of think he will. Fitzy23 says that rollout Shough had towards the end was clean as hell. So the touchdown pass was obviously the one that gets the most hype as the Saints are attempting a 50-yard field goal here, and that looks true. Relative ease. So nice kick there. But I thought the rollout that you're talking about, Shough's getting pressure. You're worried about maybe it's going to be a safety. Then he kind of scrambles out. Then you're like, okay, is he going to take off? And he fires one down the field for like about a 20-yard gain. I thought that was a really nice play. I still have no clue why we've neglected the wide receiver position in free agency and the draft for 3 straight years. I don't know. I wish I knew. I really wish I knew. I thought that used to be a Sean Payton thing, and now it just seems like just a Saints thing. So not ideal. We the fans, team, coaching staff, and especially Loomis will catch hell all season unless we trade for 2 Eagles backup QBs, Tanner McKee and wide receiver Darius Cooper. Tough possession guy. I mean, I think we're going to catch shit from everyone regardless. This isn't a talented team at the moment. So I think we might unfortunately catch shit regardless there. Back to the drawing board learning process for this team at this point. I don't use hate a lot, but I hate watching Isaiah Foskey put on equipment and step on the field. I understand that. I don't want to say that too, but it's hard to get excited about watching him play. And by the way, there's 10 seconds left, but it seems like it's going to go final at 27-13. So Saints will lose the preseason opener. We all kind of knew that when we start this live 22 minutes ago. We knew that was going to happen 22 minutes ago. Wesley says, I like how Shough bounced back. He's keeping himself in the quarterback battle. Man, I do have a feeling the first half of the season is going to be brutal. I mean, he's definitely keeping himself in the quarterback battle. I don't think Rattler did anything today to create separation. I would argue after today, so if Rattler was the leader today, whatever the gap was, you got to close it. Whether it was huge, you make it a smaller gap now. If it was a small gap, now there's no gap. Like, Shough was better than Rattler today. And again, it doesn't even matter. If you want to give Rattler a C, let's just say you want to give him a C grade. Cool. Well, then Rattler was a D something. So that's just where it goes. And then Haener, give him a fucking F because, good God, he's just not good. So that's where I'm at with the quarterbacks. But yeah, I agree with you. He bounced back. He's in the battle. There's no question about it. And he's starting next preseason game. Let's just call a spade a spade. Saints, we're going to start Rattler today regardless and start Shough regardless next week. I think they haven't said it yet, but we could put 2 and 2 together with what they're going to do at quarterback. And I think that's where they're going to go. Bub Memes got hurt. Do they call Cooper or Davis? I mean, they should call someone at this point. I mean, they need wide receiver depth. Gabe Davis would be interesting. I mean, he's, they brought him in earlier this year, so maybe they will. Was Kelvin Banks playing today? He was. He started. Didn't hear anything from him, and I think that's pretty good. I thought he had a nice, clean first quarter of football. It was. O-line played bad for Rattler. Look, man, Radins was bad. I can't disagree with that. I mean, I can't, I can't disagree with that. But Rattler and Shough was guilty of it too. Did the same thing. Like when you hold on to the ball forever, you're going to get sacked. Or when the right side's getting beat, you have to feel that, and Rattler doesn't feel it. Again, it doesn't mean that Rattler can't get better. He could get better. But Rattler made the same mistakes today that he made all of last season. All of last season. So, to me, there's just not enough growth there yet to get excited. That's just kind of where I'm at. Grant says we're so cooked. Kind of. That's kind of where I'm at. I watched today's game, and I know it's preseason, but I was like, man, like, what are the redeeming qualities of the New Orleans Saints this year? I don't know if they have a lot. Sucks because now you got to hear they chose Shough over Sanders, even though Shough played decent. I mean, that's just kind of that's the nature of the beast, right? Like, the Giants are going to hear that every game, even though Jackson Dart played really well yesterday. Seahawks will hear that when Jalen Milroe's out there. It's kind of the world we live in, and I'm not really surprised. I mean, Shedeur comes with the brand. Obviously, Shedeur is a big-time name. He was outstanding Friday night against the Panthers, so I want to give him his credit. 14 of 23, 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions, looked really good. It's just kind of the way it goes, man. Obviously, 735 says thoughts on Foskey. I want Foskey off the roster. Those are my thoughts on Foskey. Shough should at least play with the ones next week. He will. I think you could take that to the bank. Quarterbacks need to practice on their off days. Grades: Tyler C-, Rattler D, Haener E+. Is that an E+? E plus, like what, for effort? I guess. I would love if that's what you went for. Shout out to you if you did. But I mean, for me, I don't know about grades. I don't love giving grades. Like it is what it is. But I would probably have a bigger gap between a C- and a D for Tyler and Rattler. But you know, it is. I would go C and D maybe. So, or C plus and a D. We got to go into the season as fans and just accept we may not have a quarterback, and that's okay. We're tearing down the old regime and allowing Kellen Moore to build his own culture. It's been a while. Yes, for sure. I think there's got to be patience. It's tough. It's tough to be patient as a football fan. I'm guilty of it all the time. Rashid Shaheed may have to be returner for this year. Also, the returns are horrible this game. I hope not. I really hope not. I really don't want Shaheed as a returner, guys. I'd like to see Shaheed just play wide receiver. Velus Jones could play returner. Dante Pettis can be a returner. He was good last year for them. Kendra Miller actually had a nice return, I believe, today. Let me pull up the numbers on that. I don't want to mislead anyone. Kendra Miller had a 36-yard return. Velus Jones had a 27-yard return. Jaden Price had a 26-yarder. So, look, they're going to have options. I think Velus Jones and Dante Pettis can maybe help kind of hold down the fort there. I don't want to see Shaheed waste his talents on returning. Grades: Shough B-, Rattler D, Hainer F. Velus Jones can help take pressure off Shaheed with special teams. I'd like to think so. White James. I saw those tweets when Shough had the pick and then the touchdown after. It was very Jameis-esque. I can't lie about that. How do you think play calling between OC/DC and Kellen Moore was today? Well, defense started off pretty strong with Brandon Staley. I thought that offensive play calling wasn't really anything special, but it's a preseason, right? Like, I think, truthfully, guys, I know it sounds like a cop-out, but we have to wait until week 1, week 2 to really start looking at this offense. Whatever they do right now in preseason is not going to be the full array of plays that Kellen Moore is going to have at his disposal on a week-to-week basis. Kyle says, taking Jeremiah Smith first over QB. I mean, he can't go next year. He's got to wait one more year, which sucks. But if he was going out this year, I mean, are you kidding me? Like, he's the best wide receiver prospect in a long, long freaking time. So good. I don't understand why they wasted so many reps on Hainer during camp. There's no reason to give him so many first-team reps. That's wasted development for Shough and Rattler. Yes. Just yes. I agree. And I'll tell you, after today, get rid of those Hainer reps, man. Give him a Shough or give him a Rattler. I would say give him a Shough. I would just go all in on the Shough, experiment here. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, all right. That's what I would do personally. That's what I would do. I think when we start Shough, he has the potential to have a Bo Nix season, better with time, experience, and coaching. I mean, Xavier, if that happens, I would take that as an absolute win. I know everyone kind of shits on Bo Nix because they're like, oh, he was old. All right, yeah, he is 25, but really, really nice first season. 29 touchdowns, 12 picks, completed 66% of his passes, got better each week. It's kind of what you want in a rookie, no? So I would take that. Rattler didn't get any good play calling, man. I was pissed there was no downfield stuff. Look, Rattler's also got to push the ball downfield. He did no favors for himself. The team around him wasn't great. I get it. I also don't want to make excuses for quarterbacks during the preseason because every single one of them struggled. Rattler struggled, especially in the second quarter. Shough had a pick 6 in this game. Hainer comes in and says, whatever you can do, I can do better, and throws a pick. So every quarterback struggled. I don't want to make excuses for Rattler. I don't think any of these quarterbacks are, deserve excuses at this stage in their careers right now. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I think they chose to let Foskey play himself off the roster. I mean, we'll see. I think they like him for special teams, unfortunately. But I don't know. He doesn't do enough for me. Can we trade for Shedeur? I mean, if you're Cleveland, are you even trading Shedeur? If I'm Cleveland, I want to see more of him in the preseason. I'm not playing Flacco doesn't have to play much preseason football. Maybe you give him one drive to knock the rust off, but that's about it. Disappointed we did not draft McMillan for a wide receiver, man. I really wanted him. Look, Andre, I think the reports were out there. The Saints wanted him. The Saints wanted to take McMillan, and the Panthers just beat them to the punch. That's what was reported. Just, whether or not it was true, I don't know. But it was reported that they really wanted wide receiver, and the Panthers beat them to the punch. Who did the Panthers take? Ted McMillan. So it kind of works out that way. Tyler Shough has great deep ball accuracy, but I can't understand why he threw the ball so late on the short throws. It will always be a pick 6. I think that, to me, I think to me that Shough one was like one of those rookie mistakes where he predetermined a throw, and when you predetermine it, you're going to get screwed. Like that. To me, that's what it looked like. Bad throw, bad decision. And it seemed like he was going there the whole way when it wasn't even there. So to me, that's why I felt like it was predetermined. Keep trying to believe in Ruiz, and he keeps letting me down more often than not. Trust me, I'm in the same boat with you. Haener could be the best practice squad quarterback. Release Haener ASAP, please. It's hard to watch him. It is hard to watch him. Jake's the Jamal Williams of quarterbacks. I hate watching them play football. Where was Bub Memes and Tipton on Rattler's drive? Bub Memes played with Rattler. I don't know. I'd have to check about Mason Tipton, but Bub Memes did play with Rattler. Bub Memes played, had that catch. He actually ended up getting carted off at one point in the first half. But Bub Memes was in there for sure. I do like what we saw from Kellen in terms of play calling. Went right back to throwing after the interception. That's trust. Rattler and Shough should be on equal footing. I think that's fair. I mean, again, we're not going to see a lot of play calling right now, though. That to me, that's kind of you're not showing all your cards in the preseason. This could be a hot take. I know a lot won't like it, but I just don't see Spencer rising anymore. I feel what we've seen from him in his 6 games last year and the flashes we see now is all he has. I am in agreement. I know that people don't like that, and that's fine. Like, if Rattler ends up being the guy, I'd be happy for him. If Shough ends up being the guy, I'd be happy for him. If Haener ends up being the guy, that's not going to happen. So I'm not going to go there. But for the first 2 guys, if they end up being the guy, I would be happy for them. I really would. I don't think it's going to be Rattler, and it probably won't be Shough, but we don't know. Whereas Rattler, I just think we've already seen some stuff from him. Again, we'll see. There's still 2 more preseason games left. There's a bunch of practices left. Rattler could win the starting job. Coming into today, he was the favorite for the job. After today, I don't know how big the gap was behind closed doors, but you'd have to imagine that gap's a little bit shorter now because I do think Shough was better today. Doesn't mean anyone was great, but he was better today. Is Ruiz the worst starter on the O-line? I think it's still Penning, but, we better hope he's okay, by the way, because if Penning's not okay, they might have to play Dylan Radins, and Dylan Radins was goddamn abysmal. We should trade for Trey Lance, LOL. If you're the Chargers, I'm not getting rid of Trey Lance. I'd keep him as my backup. Thought he looked better than Taylor Heineke. I know Heineke didn't play as much, and Lance got the whole game, but Lance needs the reps, and I also thought Lance did a good job with the reps that he got, so shout out to him. It's crazy how some of these third stringers might be starting by week 10. They better not be starting by week 10. They better not. The defense might sneak up and be our best asset this year after the question marks we've had all offseason, especially with the loss. Look, I forgot when I said it. I lose track of my days, but I think maybe last week, guys, I was talking about Chase Young and Kool-Aid McKinstry having a really good training camp. And I was like, hey, look, I didn't expect the defense to be good this year, and I don't know if they'll be good. But I had like a pretty low ceiling for the defense. And I feel like if guys like Chase Young plays better, if guys like Kool-Aid take that next step, like there's all these guys that are loving up in the right direction. And I think that could go well for the defense. You have some younger guys that are going to help. Jonas Sanker, Quincy Riley, Danny Stutzman. That gives you some depth from a youth perspective. Safeties are going to be better with Justin Reed and Julian Blackman than what you got last year, in my opinion. We'll see what Gottschall does in the middle of the defense and the defensive line. So, it's possible. Do you think Taysom has a decent role this year? I don't. You guys know how much I love Taysom Hill. I don't think he's going to have a big role for this team. I just don't. Why was play calling more pass heavy with Shough? Rattler only got 11 passes and we ran more while Shough got 22 attempts. I actually did wonder about that. My question is, were the Saints just so horrible running the football that they just abandoned the run? That was a question that I had in my mind. I don't know the explanation. I'd imagine someone's going to ask Kellen Moore. I hope someone does ask Kellen Moore. And whenever we get the answer, I'll share it on Twitter. But I did wonder that as well. We didn't get a lot of passes with Rattler. We also, though, didn't see the run game succeed. So I wonder if they just abandoned it. That's where it might be. I know some people will say the play calling was different, but the run game today, Kendra, 6 for 15, horrible. Cam Akers, 4 for 9, horrible. Edwards-Helaire, 4 for 6, horrible. So, you got guys averaging 2.5, 2.2, 1.5. You're not running the football well, and kind of sucks, but, that to me, I think Saints just said, fuck it. But, we'll see what happens. I think that Kellen Moore is going to be asked that at some point. I just feel like coaching had biased play calling. Rattler didn't even get good calls on the one we ran 3 BS run plays. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be rude. Guys, I swear to God, this is not directed at anyone. I do not think Kellen Moore and the Saints coaching staff is sabotaging a quarterback with their play calls. Because guess what? Kellen Moore calls the shots. And if Kellen Moore wanted Tyler Shough to be the guy, then he would just say from the beginning of camp, like, fuck it, we're not having a quarterback competition and Shough's going to be the starter. Why waste time and give starts and reps at training camp, QB1 reps, give a preseason start to Rattler to like sabotage him? To me, that wouldn't make any sense. So that's where it goes against it. And I also think it's the same thing. The Saints aren't the only team that deals with this. I saw the same thing with Shedeur last Friday. People were like, oh, people are trying to sabotage him. I don't think any NFL coaching staff is trying to sabotage a player or themselves, because they all have jobs to do and games to win. And if they don't win games, their seats get hot, people lose their jobs. So I don't think this was any case of sabotage at all. I think the run game, you tried to get it going when Rattler was in. Unfortunately for Rattler, the run game was ass. Saints stopped running the football. Shough's going to probably start next week. If it's not going with Shough and the run game stinks, Rattler comes in. I'm not running the football when Rattler's in. To me, that's how simple it is. Again, maybe I'm wrong for thinking of it that way, but that's how I look at it. We saw Tyler bounce back, and we're talking about trading for Sanders. Yeah, I don't get why people would do that. Also, it's one preseason game. I'm happy for Shedeur. I have no beef about any of these quarterbacks. I have no dog in this fight. But, I don't see one game from Shedeur and be like, oh my God, Saints have to trade for him. If that's the case, why the hell would the Browns trade him if that's how people feel about him? And I don't think the Saints after one game are going to do that. I just don't see it. Let's see what else we got going on here. This game will be the story of our season. Some good and some bad. It's about how our young guys developed this year and where they are at the end of the regular season to help build next year. I mostly agree with that, but a lot of big players didn't play today, right? Like no McCoy, no Olave, no Shaheed, no DeMario, no Chase Young, no Justin Reed. So a lot of big players didn't play today. We still don't know who's going to be the starter, but I do agree with the sentiment, Samuel. Like I do think it's going to be one of those years where you just got to focus on the developments and kind of go from there. I think I think that you have to really just focus on the youth. And today's one of those games, right? Like I mentioned Fadil Diggs, I mentioned Mason Tipton, I mentioned Danny Stutzman, Quincy Riley didn't really get thrown out a lot. Like you take the good, you pour that to the side, you think about what's good, and then you figure out where you got to improve. So after today, I would say like, look, O-line's got to be better. Offensive weapons have to be better. Like to me, that's how I'm going to evaluate the season. That's where I'm at. If Tyler outplays Spencer again, Rattler is cooked. I agree. Look, if Shough goes out there, felt weird calling him Tyler. I'm just going to keep it as Shough. I don't know what this felt weird. If Shough goes out there second week of the preseason and plays really well, then yeah, I think that to me, I would start him. To be honest, after today, I would rather the Saints just go and, start him. And if he sucks, he sucks. But at least you figure out if this 40th overall pick can play, then try to continue this process. But I understand if they're in a quarterback competition, keep it going. That's fine. But if Shough outplays Rattler next week, and that will be the starting, game for Shough, to me, I think that matters. And look, what's fair is fair. Last year, the coaching staff kept saying that Haener and Rattler were even for the backup job. And we were watching the preseason games. I'm like, well, Rattler looks way better than Haener in the preseason. So if we get to that point where Shough looks better than Rattler in the preseason, I'll say the same thing, Still annoying how many impactful early and late round wide receivers there's been the last 2 years, and we went after none of them, choosing to use draft picks on linebackers and linemen that never played. I mean, look, linebackers the linebacker depth's good this year. The linebacker depth looks pretty good, so I can't get mad about that. Your take on Rattler is so wrong. Shough was not better today. Guys, what the fuck did you watch today? Honest to God, I don't think Shough looked like some god. I don't even think he's going to be a good quarterback. I hope he is, but I don't think he's going to. But how come when Rattler holds the ball for 35 fucking seconds and then gets sacked, or he clearly has pressure coming and just doesn't see it, we have to baby him? He's a 5th round pick, okay? There's a good chance that he's never going to be a starter, and that's okay. That's part of the process. When Jake Haener wets the bed, we all sit here and go, oh my God, Jake Haener fucking sucks. But when Spencer Rattler wets the bed, we all have to baby him. We don't have to put the kid gloves on and baby the guy every time. If Shough goes out there next week and sucks ass. I'm going to come right here on this mic, and I'm going to tell you guys, Tyler Shough sucked ass. And frankly, the pick 6 he threw was really fucking bad. And if he didn't go out there and have a scoring drive immediately after, I'd be sitting here and telling you guys that Tyler Shough didn't have a good game. But the 2 scoring drives came from Tyler Shough. I got to give him some credit there. So how do I say that Rattler's better than Shough today? Just for this game alone, okay? Come on. And it's the same thing with Rattler. He makes the same mistakes. And I like Spencer Rattler. I was so excited when the Saints drafted him. I'm excited that he played last year because I couldn't stand watching Derek Carr. And Jake Hayner's not an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. But we can't always play the offensive line blame game. Because guess what? The same mistake that Rattler did, Shough did. When Shough did it, the same people are like, oh, he's holding on to the ball too long. That's great. Your quarterback holds on to the ball too long too soon. And to me, that's the problem. Us Saints fans have been like picking who's going to be who because we have like the agenda and all this nonsense going on. There is a very good chance every quarterback on the Saints sucks. And we just got to hope that they don't have one that sucks. But I'd rather play the guy that is an unknown than the 2 knowns right now, especially when he was better today. I mean, come on. We watched Drew fucking Brees for 15 years, and we can't give Rattler a little criticism. That's fucking crazy to me. Come on, man. We have to get better as fans like that. And the reason I say that is because of number 9. We watched one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game for well over a decade. We know what good quarterback play is. Come on. See, Ryan, this is where it's bullshit. Go watch how many times Rattler sat there in the pocket and either took a fucking check down or he got sacked. And by the way, Shough was doing the same thing too. Shough was a check down commander in the start of the second half and then predetermined and threw a bad pick 6. Like, come on, guys. What's fair is fair. Shough was better today. And if you don't think he was better today, that's fine. Just be honest. You just don't want him to start. You rather Rattler start. Which, okay, if the goal is for the Saints to suck this year, let's do it. Which, by the way, they might suck with Shough as well. But let's just be honest, fans. Coming into today, Rattler had the edge. No doubt. That's why he started today. He was better. He's been better in practice. But come on, we cannot be sitting here saying that Shough wasn't better today. Like, come on. Just be fucking real with each other. Edit Kings 21 says, even if we go 0-17, I'm just glad to watch Saints football again. Yeah, I would rather they not go 0-17, but yes. I would rather they not. The run game was lost once Banks and Fuaga left the game. Honestly, it was kind of lost from the jump anyway. The guard play was bad. Guard play today wasn't good. And like I said, Kendra was 6 of 15, so that's not great. Six carries, 15 yards. Cam Akers, 4 carries for 9 yards. Not a lot. So that's kind of where I'm at, man. Let's keep it rolling here. Trade for Jameson, let this shit fly for a year. If they didn't draft a quarterback, I would be for that. Just like, fuck it, let Jameis ball for a year. We'll be entertained. But I think where the Saints are right now, it's very, very clear. They're very much trying to kind of expedite this rebuild with a younger quarterback and see if it works. And if it doesn't, they're probably picking a quarterback again next year, which would be the 4th year in a row they take a quarterback, which is kind of nuts. They weren't giving Rattler bad play calls. He just couldn't get the offense moving, and he played with better players. Of course, they passed Maurice Shough. They were losing. The run game wasn't working. A lot of things here. I've been saying you spent pick 40 on Shough, give him all the reps he needs, and go from there. It's just how it is. Like, that's the life of the NFL. Whether or not you think it's right, that's just how it always goes. Like, what you have invested in a player matters, right? They have a top 40 pick invested in Tyler Shough. Of course they're going to want to see this dude play more. Of course they're going to want to see if this guy's good. So that's just where I'm at. And I feel bad for like ranting because I don't want it to seem like it's like charged towards, one person who puts a comment or 2 people who puts a comment. I just don't see how in any world we watch today's game are like, man, Rattler was better. Let's hope the O-line has backups. I mean, let's just hope the O-line stays healthy. Please. Shough didn't play better. They all play trash. Look, do yourself a favor then. If that's how you felt, if you really thought that Shough, Rattler, and Haener all look the same today, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. If you want to tell me they all played like shit, that's fine. One was shit, one was diarrhea, and the other one was water-dense diarrhea. Then call it a spade a spade. But then you can't say they were all the same level of shit, because they weren't. They just weren't. Quarterbacks are check down kings. I mean, were they not? The only one who doesn't like to check it down that much was like Jake sometimes, but Jake's like always a play away from throwing a pick, which didn't take him long to do. If our quarterbacks play like this all season, we might be in for a long season. We're probably in for a long one anyway, man. We're probably in for a long one. Things that will matter to me. Does the rookie class look good? Forget about Shough for a second, because who knows if he starts. Does Kelvin Banks look like a legit left tackle? If he does, you know Fuaga's good. Then you have your 2 tackles for the next 10 years. Like, amazing. All right? If you have Quincy Riley making plays, you know that Kool-Aid's pretty good. You know Alante can make plays. Your secondary looks a little better. Jonas Sanker, can he play well? So I'm looking at guys like that. I'm looking at Danny Stutzman. Can he get on the field and play well? So those to me. Kellen Moore, what does his play calling look like? Can the offense actually compete a little bit and look somewhat respectable? Like, that's what I'm looking at. Play calling, the rookie class, stuff like that. Not going to be looking at the win-loss record, because I promise you, man, it's probably not going to be pretty. It's probably not going to be pretty. Let's roll with Shough. Nothing to lose. I mean, to me, that's where I'm at, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Shough could go out there next week and play terrible, and if that happens, that's not going to bode well. Scoring drives came from Shough because we were down. Of course, you have to move from running. I'd rather have a quarterback that's more decisive than one that's going to look the receiver down the whole way. Oh, brother. I'm not going to get into this today. You'd rather have one that looks more decisive. Cool. I mean, Jesus Christ, guys. More decisive. And then who's the candidate we're gunning for is Spencer fucking Rattler. Jesus. Shedeur was better business-wise and a better player. Look, I'm going to say this about this, guys. A, business-wise, there's no question. There's literally no question. He was, if you're going for the appeal, there was no player that makes more sense than Shedeur. Like, he's just big name. He's box office. If we're going about college production, he was easily a better player. I'm not going to deny that. And when the Saints were picking 40, in my head, I was like, man, I'd like to see them take Shedeur here. That'd make the Saints a little interesting. They didn't. It's over with. I don't know what we're supposed to do at this point to keep bringing up Shedeur. And again, this is coming from someone, and you could check the tweets. I wanted them to draft him, especially at 40. I thought it would have been fucking awesome. Okay? And we know the guy looks good in the black and gold because he's rocking the black and gold for the last 2 years of his college career. But they didn't take him. What are we going to do? What are we going to do at this point? I'm Team Rattler, but he didn't show me nothing today. That's why I'm waiting for next week when the ones will play a lot more. I think that's fair and respectable, by the way. That's totally fine. Things could be worse. Colts are starting Daniel Jones next week. Fair enough. Honestly, we have to just see what the future holds. Hopefully we go back to a playoff team, man. I would love to see them go back to a playoff team. Could have Mason Taylor instead of Shough. Rattler gets us to the same thing. Top 5 pick. We shall see. Also, let's see how Mason Taylor plays. I know we all love LSU, and I love Mason Taylor, but let's also see how that goes too. Can 13 be running back too? I mean, Velus Jones, he's got to move him around, so I wouldn't mind if they even try to experiment with him at running back. Side note, it is still weird seeing someone wear 13 that's not Michael Thomas. I know the Michael Thomas era is far gone, but it was weird today. I was sitting there watching, and I'm like, I don't fucking know. Something seems wrong about that. We went from being one of the best teams in the league to being the laughingstock of the league, man. They're up there for sure. They're up there. Defense looked pretty good. The beginning, they looked pretty good. Obviously, towards the end, Trey Lance had his way with them and wasn't great. I'd love for us to trade for Winston for a backup/starter if Shough can't perform. Giants don't need him among the quarterbacks they have. Giants have to cut one, by the way. Obviously, they're not cutting Russell Wilson or Jackson Dart, so they have to cut one of Tommy DeVito or Jameis. I wonder if they do end up cutting Jameis. I know they gave him a 2-year deal, but, it's possible. Olave, Shaheed, and Kamara are talented, so our offense will definitely be better. I really, to me, I don't doubt that at all. That's why I think the Saints are going to try to find a quarterback who can limit the damage, who's really good at avoiding the disaster plays. To me, that's what's going to kind of decide where Kellen Moore goes. But obviously, if it's a close battle, I think they'll give the edge to Shough. They drafted him top 40, and he's the guy that Kellen Moore picked. Shough's interception was a rookie mistake late on and out. It's always 6 to the crib. I think there's a player there with him with his arm undeniable, but they both look average at best. I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that assessment. And again, if you're late on that ball, it's always going to be picked. if you're predetermining that pass, that makes no sense. And I actually think that's what he was doing. I genuinely think, like, in his head, he's gunning it there. Big mistake. And now what you got to hope is that he learns from it, because it's a bad mistake to make. In the preseason, you live with it. In the regular season, that could be what wins you or loses you a game, what's a backbreaker for a team. So we'll see. Rattler falls apart once adjustments are made. He's shown in college and in 6 starts. Today he showed no new development. He was hesitant and oblivious. Why are we giving him every excuse? I don't get it either, right? Like, the guy that they picked this year, 0 pass, 0 excuses. But then the guy they took last year in the 5th round, it's like excuse after excuse. And I like Rattler, but it was the same thing last year. First half was awesome. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy's it. And then the second half, he would completely fall apart. They wouldn't even move the ball. So it felt like the same thing today. And again, I know it's just the preseason, and I know that the starters are missing. I understand that. But if you're going to give one excuses, go give the other excuses too. It just seems like we don't do that, you know? And again, I'm not saying Shough played perfect. He did not play perfect at all. But he also had a couple of nice plays today, and I can't say that for Rattler. Need to sign another wide receiver badly. I feel like MT would like Kellen, though. I think he would. The problem is MT's unfortunately probably shot now at this point in terms of just his health and where his body's at. We're the laughing stock of the league. You can thank Mickey Loomis and his gum-chewing ass for that. See what Shough has. Very similar to what the Texans did with Davis Mills. He wasn't the guy they learned from actual games, then took the franchise guy Stroud when they could. Cool for that. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Just wish we would give both a chance. Like, we haven't seen Rattler with a go-to O-line and playmakers, and it would be stupid to start Shough and have a Bryce Young situation. No quarterback situations are the same, man. I promise you. It's all apples to oranges. Every single one. It is all different. So just because of what happened with the Panthers doesn't mean it's going to happen with the Saints. And in terms of playmakers, all right, man, like, Shough threw to Mason fucking Tipton and Kevin Austin. Like, it's the same guys they rolled out last year, for being quite honest. I think Shough will get the start week 1. Rattler still looks like Rattler, and I was pulling for Rattler, but Shough looks more comfortable. Again, it's one game. It was one game, but I do think he looked a little bit more comfortable today. I do agree with you. Did the tight end we drafted Matavao not play? He did. He had one catch for, let me find it. One catch for 6 yards. So not exactly an impact, but he was out there. So we passed on Shador for this. You guys are killing me with this. And I like Shador, but you guys are killing me. I'm so tired of the quarterback arguments with the fans. If we had someone who was the guy, as much as people say Rattler is, there would never be a quarterback battle. Thank you. Thank you. Foskey was out there today. Yep, nice day for Foskey to get cardio. It was beautiful weather in LA for him to go get cardio. So shout out to Isaiah Foskey. That wide receiver room's looking bad. It's terrible. It's guys, we are an Olave or Shaheed injury away from like watching last year's crap all over again. Dante Pettis, Kevin Austin Jr., Bub Memes got injured now, Mason Tipton. There are teams, I'll give you one. The Bucs have Godwin and Mike Evans. And then last year, what was his name? Was it McMillan that played really well for the Bucs last year? I think it was McMillan that really looked good. So, obviously we know Mike Evans is a stud. We know that Chris Godwin's good, but Jalen McMillan ends up being good. And then they go out there and they get Emeka Egbuka. So, like, they just keep adding at the wide receiver. And the Saints over here, like, come on. Like, they just don't add wide receivers. It's insane. Rumpf had more sacks in one game than Foskey had the entire time he's been here. I thought Rumpf looked good today, guys. I thought Chris Rumpf looked pretty good today. So he might be a guy that could kick Foskey to the curb. We'll see. We are all buying in the Kendre Miller hype again. I mean, I do it every year, and I get played every time. I'm expecting to get played. People don't realize that we still have 2 more preseason games to see these quarterbacks. Both were mid today, but let's see them in different situations and trust Kellen Moore to make a proper decision. I mean, I'm going to trust Kellen Moore regardless of what he does, I think first year, I mean, he's got to earn that, right? Can Foskey play tight end or wide receiver? There's got to be a way for him to make an impact. Yeah, you go make an impact somewhere else. It's not going to be on an NFL field right now. It's not going to be on an NFL field with the way he's played. Everybody loved Loomis when he was signing players while Breeze was here. Look, you know how the game goes. I mean, when you're here for such a long time, eventually things will go awry. And for Mickey Loomis, that's kind of been the case. And again, that doesn't mean that he can't win fans back, but there's a reason why fans are mad about Mickey Loomis. The Dennis Allen thing was poorly handled. The Derek Carr thing was poorly handled. They're lucky he retired. So look, this could work. And if they hire, look, trust me, I'm out on Mickey Loomis. A lot of people are. If Kellen Moore ends up being the guy at head coach, we're all, including myself, going to be like, oh, Mickey Loomis is the best, as if we didn't shit on him. That's just how it works. I think if we're more real with the fact that a lot of us, including myself, are hypocritical fans or just like flip-flopping back and forth, it's easier to go with that. Is Taysom our tush-push guy? I don't know if he's going to play this year, man. So I don't know. And a lot of Taysom stuff's from the shotgun, not under center. So I don't know if he'd be great under it. You'd think so, like measurement-wise, but I don't know. Can we stop with the Nuss and Arch stuff? They haven't done anything in college to say they're good. I mean, Arch literally hasn't even started a full season yet, although he's talented. And Nussmeier, we'll see what happens. Nussmeier, when I watch him, like, great throw. What the hell is he doing? Like, that's my experience watching him. But he is talented. I get it. Let's save some money so by next season we could grab more experienced players like Micah Parsons. I don't think they're going to go there, but, I mean, I wouldn't. You're going to have to trade picks to get Micah. Fred says Foskey for sure went to Chipotle for his first meal in NOLA. What do you go with Derek Carr? We give Mickey so much crap, but if we're being honest, Mickey gives whoever the coaches full reign to do as they please. He just does whatever they ask, which can be good or bad, depending on how you look at it. Totally, right? Look, with Sean Payton, it was great. With Dennis Allen, it was like, oh, wait, well, what the hell is going on here? So I get it. Trust me, I get it. So let's take a couple more questions, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up here. We got Andre saying going to be interesting next Sunday to see if Shough takes out Rattler again. It is going to be interesting for sure. If Shough plays better, I think that might solidify him as the starter. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Ted says, I'm glad we all have our picks next year, but still hoping they improve for sure. And that's why, by the way, like with the stuff like Micah, it's like, you don't even go near that. Don't touch that situation. You do not want to go and, get rid of any of your picks. Mickey never signed good receivers when Drew was here. Drew made them. Never forget the Thanksgiving game when he was throwing to like Dan Arnold and Austin Carr and Keith Kirkwood. Drew's just Drew. He's a special guy. Like it's almost like getting a handoff from like 20 yards away, I don't think the team needs to trade for anybody asking for these big contracts. We're not winning enough for that. Yeah, I agree with that. Just hope every loss this season doesn't feel like the team's getting bullied. It might, but not, I think maybe out of the gate, but I don't think it will. I really genuinely believe the middle/later half of the season, if Kellen Moore is a good coach, I think you'll see this team play with a lot of confidence. You're going to have to build that up early. When's propels? You kind of suck. Not going to lie. I think soon. Don't disagree. I do suck though. So we're in agreement there. Trade for Pitts or sign him next year? I don't know, man. Kyle Pitts is like, the idea of Kyle Pitts is better than actual Kyle Pitts. I think we could all agree on that. At least I think we should all agree on that. But I don't think that's the guy that the Saints should go for. Also, they just invested a lot in Juwan. Whether it was right or wrong, I would tend towards it wrong, but they did just sign him to a lot of money. So we'll see what happens. So, all right, guys, let's see. The first game in the books. Second game, I believe, is next Sunday at noon Central. Let me just pull that up. I believe it's noon Central against the Jaguars. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. But as always, guys, make sure to subscribe to Boo Crew Media if you haven't already, so you can get your propels, get everything else that we have going on here. As always, greatly appreciate that you guys tuned in and gave your thoughts. You guys are fantastic. Going to go see what Kellen Moore was talking about post-game, and then we'll go from there. So thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, make sure to subscribe to Boo Crew Media for more from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the Who Dat Nation.